When I move just a lob, the indexes on the table still get marked unusable. Why is this the case? Because if I'm only moving the lob, then the lob index and the log segment obviously are being reshuffled, but the table data isn't. We're using online help. I think the best way I could describe this is with this sort of meme, and there's plenty of memes like this out there on the internet, which is you need to understand the importance of commas. This is a famous meme where someone says, "I love cooking my pets and my family." I think what they meant was, I love cooking, comma, my pets, comma, and my family. The intonation and the pausing is important. And this same sort of mindset is important when we come to running DDL for LOBs in the Oracle database. Let me give you a demo to help you explain what that means. So I'm going to create a table called T. It's got a primary key, one other column, and a clob in C. And I'm going to populate it with just 10,000 rows, row num, it's just numbers from 1 to 10,000, and a clob of size 100 bytes. So it's hardly large. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do alter table move lob. I'm just going to move the lob and store it in table space users. So I'm just moving the lob here. So I run that, the command got run, and what happened? My index is unusable. My primary key and my index I created on the X column are both unusable. My lob's fine, but why are my indexes unusable? If I didn't move the data, how come they got moved about? It's really about where the implied comma is in the DDL. Alter table T move lob is actually alter table T move. Move the table. We're moving everything. And this second line is really just a bit of an addenda to say, this is what I would like to do with the lob when you're moving the entire table. So it's just that subtle difference. It's not alter table T move the lob. It's alter table T move, long pause, and then this is what to do with the lob. Alter table move is always moving the entire table, not just the lob, even though the syntax, especially if it's on one line, suggests that you're just doing something with the lob. So that's a very simple explanation as to why this is an issue. And that's why when you do it, your indexes become unusable because you have to move all the data, including the non-lob rows. Now, that's obviously easily fixed. You just rebuild the indexes if you've hit this problem. The question then comes is, well, what if I want to avoid this index maintenance? Well, yes, since 12.2, just about every alter table command now can be done with an online keyword, which is fantastic. So now I'm just alter table move, add the lob clause, and then just whack an online at the end of it, and you'll see my indexes remain valid. I've done numerous office hours talks on this. You know, it's literally hard to find examples where you can't do online operations now in the Oracle database, which is awesome. There are still some there, but in the vast majority of cases, just throw an online keyword at the end and see what happens. It's generally going to work pretty well. So the question is now is to help under our understanding of online and what you have to be careful of is I want to talk about the definition of online. If I run an online lob move, what are some of the implications of when I start and when it stops? To do that, I'm going to recreate my table. This time I'll make it a little bit bigger. So this time my clobs are 32K in size, and I got 3,000 of them. So it's going to take a little bit longer now to move this clob because I want to time how long it takes to move it using an online move. So here we go, set timing on. Online moved the table and the lob, and it took about 5.5 seconds. So now we know that in isolation with nothing else going on that table in this database, it takes 5 seconds to move that much data. So now I'm going to actually explore what happens when we have some active transactions going on and I try to do this situation. So let's go over to session 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start with an active transaction before I even try and move my table. So I've opened up a session, I've deleted one row from the table called T. I'm going to go back here and try alter table move. Now, as we know that in total isolation, right, this takes about 5 seconds, and already you can see it's taken a little bit longer. And in fact, if I sit here and wait, I won't make you wait too long, you can see nothing seems to be happening. We can assume it's commenced. The question is, how much work has it done? So let's commit this transaction and keep an eye on the other window and see, does it immediately come back, which means it's moved most of the stuff and now it's just waiting for the end of transaction? Or does it take 5 seconds, which means it hasn't really started at all? So we commit that and let's see what happens. We're waiting. And it took about 38 seconds in total, but hopefully you could count roughly there. It took about 5 seconds. It didn't come back instantaneously. So based on that, we can make a reasonable assumption that if there is an open transaction on your table, then the alter table move online will sit and wait. It won't start. It's just waiting for a quiet moment at the start of the operation before it goes ahead. That starts to raise some alarm bells because you're thinking, well, what if this thing is waiting? Will other people wait behind it? Because you don't want to create this big queuing system behind this command waiting to start, because that obviously is the antithesis of what an alter table move online should be. Let's get ready to go. So I need to get ready to flick to session 2. Let's do the opposite now. Let's start this move going, and then as soon as it starts, we'll see, does it block other transactions from occurring? Because if it does, that's not so online. So we're going to already click that going and do that one. And notice here, I'm not blocked from starting a transaction. So even though this is commenced, I'm not blocked from starting other transactions. So that's a relief. We can still run these online operations. It's going to wait for a quiet moment to start, but once it starts, it's not going to stop anyone else doing their day-to-day work on that table. If it was only going to take 5 seconds, it would have finished by now while I'm talking. So this is the second point we need to know, that while there is an active transaction, this thing can't start, but it also can't finish. So if we now commit, we can now see, did it do most of its work, or has it not even started yet? So if I commit, it's instantaneous. So it did its 5 seconds of work. Now it's just waiting for a quiet moment at the end of things where there's no transactions, and then it completes. So a couple of things to note from those demos. Number one is alter table move is always an entire table move. There's no such thing as moving just a lob in isolation, even though the command can look like alter table T, move the lob. It's actually move, and this is what to do with the lob. Online is cool because it keeps your indexes valid. And as I said, use online, I think, for almost anywhere where you are worried about impact on other users. Add it online to almost any operation nowadays, and it should be good. But in this particular case, and there are others as well, online does need a quiet starting moment where there's no transaction activity on the table, and a quiet ending moment where there's no transaction activity on the table. But the good thing is, once it's commenced, it's not going to block other people from operations. So it's as we'd expect from an online operation.